Hi there, welcome to the first episode of my 10-minute moan of today. And the topic of this one is a highly amusing Giggle v Tickle court case in Australia. Amusing by name, but not funny by the outcome. Now, I'm going to use the BBC's report on this, and there's several, just to use it for reference, and I'll read that out and give my opinions when we go. But I strongly believe that not only is this case contradictory to what it was meant to be, it's also going to leave Australian women no safe places whatsoever, and potentially about another 100 countries around the world because of a convention that was taken into consideration with this ruling. So the BBC's headline is Australian court rules in landmark case that asked what is a woman. A transgender woman from Australia has won a discrimination case against a women-only social media app after she was denied access on the basis of being male. And there lies a contradiction for me. If he won a claim that he was denied access because he was male, then he's actually just agreed that he's male. The court ruling, I believe, has confirmed that this guy, whatever his name is, Tickle, is actually a man. Because if the court had agreed he was a woman, then you can't be discriminated against for being male, because you're a woman. And let me try and simplify it a wee bit, because I got my head in a bit of a tangle last night, putting this one, thoughts through my thought process. But if you had a cat that barked, and you took it to a dog kennel to go on you're going on holiday, and you say, can you take my dog for 2 weeks? And they said, no, it's a cat. I said, no, it thinks it's a dog. So I want you to take it in the kennel. And they said, no, you could complain that they were being unfair to cats because you've got a cat, right? If it was a dog, then they didn't accept it. It wouldn't be because of discrimination that it was a cat. It would be discrimination because it was the wrong type of dog. And when you take that example and put it into what's happening here when it's a male-female situation, it just appears very, very odd and crazy to me. How can you be discriminated on the basis of your male if you're arguing you're a woman? Because that's the whole point of Roxanne Tickle's case. That I am a transgender woman, I was a man, I'm now a woman, and I want to be treated like a woman, but I've won a court case saying I was denied access to a women-only site because I'm a man. Am I the only person that sees a contradiction here? However, I'll come back to that later. The federal court found that although Roxanne Tickle had not been directly discriminated against, she was a victim of indirect discrimination, which refers to when a decision disadvantages a person with a particular attribute. Yeah, you're a guy. In order to pay 10,000 Australian dollars, which is about 5,000, just over 5,000 quid plus cost, which was another, should have said 55,000 Australian dollars caps, so that would be about another 25 grand cash English. So that would be about 30 grand in total that Tickle has won. It's a landmark ruling when it comes to gender identity, as at the very heart of the case was the ever more contentious question, what is a woman? In 2021, Tickle downloaded Giggle for Girls, an app marketed as an online refuge where women could share their experiences in a safe place and where men were not allowed. In order to gain access, she had to upload a selfie to prove she was a woman, which was assessed by gender recognition software designed to screen out men. However, 7 months later, after successfully joining the platform, her membership was revoked. As someone who identifies as a woman, this is where we get a bit complicated, right? Tickle claimed she was legally entitled to use services meant for women, and that she was discriminated against based on her gender identity. But you've not been discriminated against your gender identity because your gender identity is a woman. So that didn't stop you. It's the fact that you're a biological male that stopped you. That is your sex, not your gender. Although I'm quite happy to accept they're both the same. Apparently in 2024 they're completely different and you can be a male by sex but gender is a woman. It's a confusing world for a 51-year-old dinosaur like me. She sued the social media platform as well as its CEO Sal Grover and sought damages amounting to $200,000, claiming that persistent misgendering by Grover had prompted constant anxiety and occasional suicidal thoughts. Grover's public statements about me and this case have been very distressing, demoralising, embarrassing, draining and hurtful. This has led to individuals posting hateful comments towards me online and indirectly inciting others to do the same, Tickle said in an affidavit. Giggle's legal team argued throughout the case that sex is a biological concept. They freely concede that Tickle was discriminated against, but on the grounds of sex rather than gender identity. Which I kind of agree with. That person never got on the site because they think they look like a woman. They never got on the site because they're a man. Refusing to allow Tickle to use the app constituted lawful sex discrimination. They said the app, so refusing to allow Tickle, so sex discrimination is we never let you use it because you're a man, because we're mentioning sex again. Let me just reread that to you. Refusing to allow Tickle to use the app constituted lawful sex discrimination, they say. The app is designed to exclude men because its founder perceives Tickle to be male. She argues that denying her access to the app was lawful. And the fact that the court has said and disagreed with that defence suggests to me that the court therefore see this male as actually a female. And if they see that as a female, how can you be discriminated against for gender or sex if you're a female full stop? It just doesn't make sense to me. But Justice Robert Bromwich said in his decision on Friday that the case law has constantly found sex is changeable and not necessarily binary, ultimately dismissing Google's argument. So now the law in Australia is saying sex doesn't matter. A man can be a woman can be a man. Now, the fact that we don't know if this person, Tickle, has went through any operations, etc., or just dresses like a woman, leaves it even more scary. Because I don't think Tickle has had surgery. It doesn't look as if she's got breasts. And that would suggest to me that I've seen photographs with Tickle with stubble, etc., that maybe hormones haven't even been done. However, Tickle said during the ruling, shows that all women are protected from discrimination. No, it shows that all women are not protected by law, because you're not a woman. And that she hoped the case would be healing for trans and gender diverse people. Unfortunately, we got the judgment we anticipated. The fight for women's rights continues, Grover said. This is the person that owns Giggle. Responding to the decision, known as Tickle v Giggle, the case is the first time alleged gender identity discrimination has been heard by a federal court in Australia. It encapsulates how one of the most acrimonious ideological debates, trans inclusion versus sex-based rights, can play out in court. Tickle was born male, but changed her gender and has been living as a woman since 2017, but that doesn't really explain a lot, does it? When giving evidence in court, she said, up until this instance, everybody has treated me as a woman. Everybody, the whole wide world, treated you as a woman, right up into this case. Are you kidding me on? I do, from time to time, get frowns and stares and questioning looks, which is quite disconcerting. But they'll let me go about my business. So, that contradicts what you said a minute ago, that right up until this court case, you were always treated as a woman. But Grover believes no human being has or can change sex, which is the pillar of gender-critical ideology. When Tickle's lawyer, Georgina Costello, cross-examined Grover She said, even where a person who was assigned male at birth transitions to a woman by having surgery, hormones, gets rid of facial hair, undergoes facial reconstruction, grows their hair long, wears makeup, wears female clothes, describes himself as a woman, introduces himself as a woman, uses female changing rooms, changes their birth certificate, you do not accept him as a woman. And Grover replied, no. But cutely, I don't believe for a minute that Tickle's lawyer is describing Tickle here. Well, it starts, no, with their facial hair, or the looks of it, any facial reconstruction. So this picture they're painting is not of their client. She also said she would refuse to address Tickle as Ms. and that Tickle is a biological male. Grover is a self-declared TERF, which stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist, typically used as a derogatory term for those considered hostile to transgender people. It has been claimed by some to describe their own gender-critical beliefs. I'm being taken to federal court by a man who claims to be a woman because he wants to use a women's only space that I created, she posted on X. There isn't a woman in the world who'd have to take me to court to use this women-only space. It takes a man for this case to exist. And this is another cracking bit of the case that makes so much sense to me, but seems missed by many. That if you were a woman, you wouldn't have had this case in the first place. Because it is a case, in essence, about either sexual discrimination or gender discrimination. Either way, you would have to not be a woman to actually put the case up in the first place. She said she created her app Giggle for Girls in 2020 after receiving a lot of social media abuse by men while she worked in Hollywood as a screenwriter. I wanted to create a safe women-only space in the palm of your hand, she said. It is legal fiction that Tickle is a woman. His birth certificate has been altered from male to female, but he is a biological male and always will be. We are taking a stand for the safety of all women-only spaces, but also for basic reality and truth, which the law should reflect. I tend to agree with that too. Grover has previously said that she would appeal against the court's decision and fight it all the way to the High Court in Australia. Now, this bit here, you need to pay attention to because this is a bit scary. The outcome of the case could set a legal precedent for the resolution of conflicts between gender identity rights and sex-based rights in other countries. Before we even get to other countries, if a man walks into a women's toilet tomorrow in Australia and is challenged, he's now got a legal precedent to say, I'm a woman. Why wouldn't you? This case has given a precedent in Australia that someone who's a biological man can go into women's safe spaces, whether they're cyber spaces or real spaces, it does not matter because the law does not differentiate. However, crucial to understanding this is a convention on the elimination of discrimination against women, an act called CEDAW. This is an international treaty adopted in 1979 by the UN, effectively an international Bill of Rights for women. Giggle's defence argued that Australia's ratification of CEDAW obliges the state to protect women's rights, including single-sex spaces. So today's ruling in favour of Tickle will be significant to all 189 countries where CEDAW, the UN resolution, has been ratified. When it comes to interpreting international treaties, national courts often look at how other countries have done it. Australia's interpretation of the law in a case that got this level of media attention is likely to have global repercussions. If over time a growing number of courts rule in favour of gender identity claims, it is more likely that other countries will follow suit. That's based purely on the fact that they're signed up to the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination against Women. So if it's not been able to be used to protect the defendant in this case, and a precedent is set, then that could give other 189 countries a problem because the precedent has been set to ignore the United Nations Convention of Elimination of Discrimination against Women, which actually protected women in the first place. So the whole thing's bonkers. And I think you've got two sets of people who will lose out here. The first set are obviously women and girls, females, right? But the second are what I believe a very, very small percentage of people, because I believe to have met two in my life, who suffered from what do you call it again? Gender dysphoria. And the amount of people now who claim I'm transgender, I don't believe have gender dysphoria. They can have, and possibly this man, other afflictions that make them sexually satisfied by dressing and acting like a woman. That is two different things. That is, to me, just half an inch away from a transvestite, if there is any difference at all, because I did ask someone who claimed to be transgender a few months ago, what was the difference between transgender and transvestite, and they claimed transgender dress like women all the time and transvestite's only part-time. So it's just the amount of time you put into it, really, that's the difference. So a transgender, therefore, is that just a full-time transvestite? Going by a transgender person's description to me. There isn't apparently no difference. Whereas someone who has gender dysphoria, that to me is a completely different thing. And those people are going to ultimately be the victims of this sort of nonsense, because they're getting completely ignored in favour of people that want to find loopholes to allow them to go into cyberspaces where it should only be women. For whatever reason, I do not know. However, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing and hit the notifications bell. But most importantly of all, unless you're these type of people who are not suffering from gender dysphoria, but want to be known as women, to everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.